Welcome to The Big Picture. It's Monday morning. I'm
Happy
Bryn
Monday.
Caswell.
I'm Amy Steigerwald. Happy to be here.
How was your weekend, Amy?
It was busy. It was good.
Yeah? What'd you do?
I went to Cleveland to visit with some fam. What about you?
Good stuff. I went to Irish Fest. I went to the Ohio State Fair.
You just hit up all the festivals.
I was weekend maxing, I guess.
Yes.
Right? Is that what the kids call it? Okay, well, let's get to our headlines for today. So we've been following multiple breaking news stories from Columbus. I mean, basically it started as a pursuit. Someone was shot and killed, and then another individual walked into a hospital. So we'll break all that down for you. We also have the Ohio Department of Transportation coming in. They have a series of open houses starting this weekend.
Yeah, they do have this week. Yeah, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. We've got the conversation surrounding the 2371 connector will continue. And we know there's been a lot of controversy surrounding that. So we will actually have Matt Bruning in with us to kind of break things down. Yeah.
And then we have a researcher from UT coming on the podcast to talk about this new study that she did, finding that 80% of toddler food is from processed things. It's a really interesting study, so we will break that down later in the show around 9:40. So let's get to that breaking news that we had this morning. I want to pull up the first scene that Kristen McFarland went to. So we just heard from Columbus Police and the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. Actually, before we get into that, I'm going to take us again. So we just heard from FCSO, and then we also heard from CPD.
This has been an ongoing
thing.
Things could change in a matter of 15 minutes from now.
Absolutely. We've heard from both of them. So it started out that this investigation started as the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. And we know this happened on High and Mount Streets. Franklin County Sheriff's deputies, they heard gunshots and then they found two cars shooting at each other. And then that's when a pursuit started. So then this is around 2:38 in the morning. So then around 2:41, CPD was called to assist Franklin County Sheriff's deputies with this vehicle pursuit. Now this led them to Newberry Street and then Miller Avenue. Now, shortly after this, deputies located an abandoned vehicle near Manning Avenue and Kent Street. Officers were searching for any occupants that might have been near these vehicles. So officers did find an unresponsive man near Rhodes Avenue in Galt Street. He appeared to have a gunshot wound and was then taken to the hospital in critical condition, and then unfortunately was pronounced dead a short time later. So again, this all started around 2:38 in the morning, and now it's taking us to 2:54 a.m. when another gunshot victim, according to police, walks into Grant Medical Center. It says they were shot near West Cherry Street and Wall Street. And we have video from that scene. So as you can imagine this morning, our crews were running around trying to piece together themselves what was exactly going on, but obviously investigators were taking in information as they were learning. So again, a second gunshot victim walked into Grant Medical Center. We are still working to learn if that victim is connected to these two other situations that happened earlier this morning. But we should get more confirmation on that in the next, I'm assuming before the noon show. So again, multiple crime scenes across Columbus. Homicide detectives are now investigating, and investigators are working to determine whether all of this is connected. But it really caused a bunch of chaos this morning. But
all happened within a matter of 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Appeared, so yeah.
I know. That's a lot. Okay, well, we'll keep following that. We should definitely hear more from Franklin County Sheriff's Office and Columbus Police coming up. And we do think right now Columbus Police is handling this investigation.
Yeah, I think a lot of what was going on this morning was figuring out who was the lead on this before confirming any key details that they knew of. So, Of course, our crews will be asking those questions, but that's kind of where things stand right now.
Yeah. Okay, let's turn to Max Miller and then Bernie Moreno. So this situation, I feel like it's been going on for a while now. So basically, Ohio Congressman Max Miller, he's from the Cleveland area. He's defending himself, and he got on a live stream on Sunday defending allegations of abuse from his ex-wife. His ex-wife is Emily Moreno, whose father is Senator Bernie Moreno. I know that's kind of we need a family tree for that. But again, so Miller, he got on a live stream and was basically standing up for himself against the allegations, but
he's denying all the allegations.
He's denying all of it. And Moreno's, here's an image of them. They were together for many years, but again, they're divorced. claiming just abuse allegations. But Miller here, he denies all of those allegations and says they've never been confirmed, and says that he plans to stay in the race for re-election. He is up for re-election in November, and this is what he had to say in that live stream.
I have never abused our daughter. Before I go through the facts with you today, understand one thing. Every one of these allegations traces back to a single source, my former wife. Just want to be clear, no court, no agency has ever substantiated any
Governor Mike
allegation of
DeWine,
abuse
we did
against
hear
me.
from him. Well, actually, specifically, he addressed our media partner, Ohio Capitol Journal, and this is what Governor DeWine said, quote, about all of this. He said the accusations are certainly very serious and certainly troubling. Miller faces a deadline this week to withdraw from the race. So we'll see what happens with all of that.
Yeah, we'll be following that
Yeah,
as well.
definitely. Well, coming up next, we have Tyvis Powell coming on. We're talking about Brown's training camp. He was up in Cleveland. And we're also talking about the Columbus Crew. I didn't watch any of that game this weekend, did you?
No, but I was paying attention to training camp, and as an avid Browns fan, I'll be curious to hear his thoughts.
I asked Tyvis this morning, I was like, thumbs up, thumbs down. Can you just give us any of that? And he just kind of stared off.
I'm given that that's a thumbs down.
I know. I don't like to hear that. I don't like to hear that. Okay, we'll be right back in a couple minutes.
I'm Yolanda Harris. I'm a journalist at 10 TV News. I don't just report about our community, I belong to it. And that's why we care so deeply about getting it right. And when local journalism is done right, it moves. It moves you to act, to verify, to volunteer. And yes, it moves your heart through the kind of human storytelling that stays with you wherever you are. And at 10 TV, we're here for all of it. These are the stories that move Central Ohio.
All right, welcome back to The Big Picture. It's 9:07. And before we get to Tyvis Powell, we have Lily joining us to talk about the weather forecast today and for the rest of this work week. Lily, it was a little cloudy this morning, but the sun is going to be coming out, right?
It's coming out, Bryn. It's
Yay.
coming out.
Yay!
Clouds
We love to
over the
hear
next
it.
few hours. We'll see that around noon, 1-ish. And then you'll see a really big clearing today. You're going to have a big blanket of clouds basically over the next hour or so. So that'll eventually move out, and then our humidity will decrease a little bit. Feeling a little bit better outside.
Okay.
With a little bit more sunshine for the rest of the evening.
Absolutely. And here's a look at the 7-day forecast that you made. What days are sticking out to you the most this week?
Today and tomorrow, by far. I mean, the rest of the week, you see a 20% chance Wednesday, Thursday. Friday's the best chance of rain. That's what we're looking at right now. 82 degrees and that big temperature drop from Thursday to Friday. Not looking too great for the weekend, but hey, it's only Monday, so things can change.
Is this kind of hot for August, or is this normal?
Our average in August is around 84 degrees.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It
So
feels
I feel like it's been so back and forth. Like it's been like either really, really hot or it's like, oh my gosh, it's really nice.
Well, when we were recapping July weather, we had a whole week of heat dome weather, and then we had that Canadian wildfire smoke, and then we had a really big severe weather day. So hopefully August is a little bit more tame. I'd be okay if it's a little hotter than normal.
Yeah,
So
100%. Okay. Anything else we need to know about the weather this week?
no.
Okay.
Next chance for rain comes in on Wednesday.
Alrighty. We'll be watching for it, Lily. Thank you. Again, Tyvis Powell coming up in a little bit.
I'm Jeff Hogan. I've been a journalist at 10 TV for more than 20 years. I don't just report about our community, I belong to it. And that's why we care so deeply about getting it right. And when local journalism is done right, it moves. It moves you to act, to speak up, or lend a hand. And yes, it moves your heart through the kind of human storytelling that stays with you wherever you are. And at 10 TV, we're here for all of it. These are the stories that move Central Ohio.
All right. Welcome back to The Big Picture. It's 9:11 on your Monday morning. Tyvis Powell joining us from 97.1 The Fan.
How y'all doing today?
Good.
We're
How
ready
are
to talk
you?
about the Browns.
I know.
This is how
You've
we're
had a
doing.
busy weekend.
I did. I got a chance to go up to Berea and check out the Browns. Because you know what? There's so many conflicting reports that I have to see it for myself.
You were boots on the ground.
I got to see it.
No,
Let
I
me-
agree with the Browns too. You never know.
Yeah, you
literally
got
never
this
know.
person who's in the Deshaun camp. You got this person in the Shador camp. Let me see the real truth.
Exactly.
So I went up there and I watched practice. And there's a couple of things that I walked away with. One, on this particular day, I would say that Shador had the better day. Now, what I learned is that the Browns' depth is not good defensively. Their ones, the starters, really good. really dominant, right? So whoever goes up against the ones tend to struggle. The twos and the threes is a bunch of guys who have not played a lot of ball in the NFL. So the experience isn't there. So naturally, that quarterback who's going with the twos and the threes should do better because Denzel Boston, Casey Concepcion, those guys are running with the twos. So your talent is already better. So with that being said, Deshaun Watson threw 2 picks with the twos, and they were 2 picks that I was just like scratching my head on a little bit. So he didn't have a great day. I lowered my expectations a little bit for this Browns season. I was saying 8-9 after watching practice. I'm down to 7-10. 7-10 is where I'm at now. There's room for growth. Okay. Obviously,
there is always room for growth with the Browns,
always
Tyvis.
room for. But no, what you gotta understand. I'm holding my true judgment off until I'm going back up there this Saturday. I'm holding it off because, one, they didn't have pads on. So when I watched practice, the defensive line was getting a sack almost every play. And I'm like, well, the offensive line can't grab anything because there's no pads there. So naturally, the defense is going to win. Then on top of that, they're still installing offense in there. So it's taken a while for those guys to build the chemistry to where defense is just reactionary. So I'm going to wait till this Saturday to truly have my final judgment of what I think the Browns are going to be. But just watching that one practice, I lowered it just a little, just one game. I just lowered it one game.
See, that's the secret, Tyvis. You have to start on the floor with the Browns, and then you go up from there. As a lifelong Browns fan.
I am very optimistic. I'm an optimistic person.
Okay.
I just... It wasn't as crisp as I wanted it to be. You know, you want to see, when you watch practice, a good team, you want to see the offense do well and then the defense do well. It should go a lot back and forth. And a lot of it was very one-sided at times.
Which is what I feel like we had a problem with in the past.
Exactly. And look, we've had a top defense with a terrible offense. And right now, it still kind of looks like that. But there is some hope. Those two rookie receivers are going to be really good, I believe.
What do you think about the coaching staff this year?
The coaching staff is fine. They was fired up, so it's a different energy there. Obviously, when you get a new coach, the energy is going to change. So I like that. Guys were running from drill to drill. On the defensive side, because I stayed kind of with the defense a lot of the time, it's some things that they got to work out that a guy who's been 6 years removed, as they was going over it, I was like, that's not going to work. And sure enough, it didn't work. So they got to figure those things out. But again, the good news is today is August
2nd.
The first,
it's the 3rd, guys.
The third, August 3rd. They don't play a game to September 13th, so they got time to figure it out.
All
right, well, we'll look for your updated report next
Monday. I got you.
Okay, so let's talk about the crew.
Yes.
And the reason why you hate ties.
Every time they tie, Tyvis reminds us he hates that.
You got to pick a winner. Like, this is not so I obviously, as you know, I work with T-Bone. T-Bone and Tyvis, 97.1 The Fan, 6 to 9 weekdays.
Shameless plug.
Be there. Anyways, as I'm talking to him, he's big into soccer. That's his thing. And I'm asking him, I said, okay, you're excited about this tie with Inter Miami. And I said, is it because it's Inter Miami, or are you cool with ties? So I said, well, what if it was FC Cincinnati? What if it was Hell is Real and they tied? Would you be okay with that? He says, no. All right, then. So therefore, he doesn't agree with ties. I just look at it like this. The Columbus Crew, when they play Inter Miami, they started off, it was 1-0. Inter Miami scored the first goal. Okay. Came back 1-1, then it was 2-1 for a lot of that game, and then in like the 84th minute, they ended up tying it. They get the momentum, just let's keep going. Like, pick a winner there. Like, let's keep going until the next team scores. I feel like it's like a participation trophy. It's like a pat on the back, like, yay, you didn't win, you didn't lose. In my life, I've been a part of one tie. And I didn't know how to feel. Like, you didn't win, you didn't lose. So, like, it was a waste of time. You know, people tune in to see a winner. It's winners and losers. And I feel like if you're just going to tie, well, then that's just a waste of time. So that's why I don't agree with ties. And I feel like people only accept this because it's Inter Miami. They're supposed to be one of the best teams in the MLS. So that's why they're
we're like, yay.
Yay. But it's like, no. I feel like you lowering the bar for Columbus Crew.
Yeah,
like, you got to
maybe.
set the expectation as being one of the top ones. And it doesn't matter if it's Inter Miami, or FC Cincinnati, or whoever it is. You should go out there and look to win those games and not celebrate a tie.
Okay, so what's next for the Crew?
Well, right now, it seems like everybody's plucking their roster. They lost Diego Rossi, now Max Arston, so they're getting a lot of guys that's coming in. They got to find a way to gel. Still time left in the season to try to make the postseason, but now you're trying to get chemistry on the fly. So it's going to be very tricky for them this year, and it's going to be challenging. But hey, that's why we play the game.
Okay, and Hot Take Tuesdays tomorrow.
Yes, it is.
What are your hot takes going to be?
My hot take right now is Dylan Gabriel might be the best quarterback on the Browns.
Whoa.
Curious to hear more about that.
Okay, clock it. Okay, Tyvis, thank you so much for coming on. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you Wednesday. We'll be right back.
Not every weather impact day is dangerous, but plenty are inconvenient. That's where our weather impact team comes in with the details that matter the most. Live, local, whenever you need it. No waiting, no guesswork. Stay in the know and be prepared with 10 TV.
Welcome back to The Big Picture. It's almost 9:20 on your Monday morning. Joining us right now, we have Matt Bruning with the Ohio Department of Transportation. Thank you for joining us today.
Happy to be here.
Okay, so Amy, you were doing traffic this morning.
Yes.
You were taking a look at this crash. We just got new shocking video in.
So one of the crashes we were watching this morning was on 670, kind of near Fifth Avenue, in between there and the airport. And you posted this video about a half hour ago, and we want to play it for you just because it's crazy. Take a watch.
Okay, so look at that car on the...
And obviously one is broken down.
Already. Yeah.
And then that person in the neon, they were out of their car. They jumped out of the way.
Yeah.
You can see it appears there was one car that was already had crashed into the median, was kind of probably waiting for some help. And then if you notice that far left lane, that is the smart lane.
Correct.
And two other cars appeared to be traveling through there, and then just thankfully that person was able to jump out of the way. But kind of just really scary.
Yeah, I mean, the thing to remember, the first and foremost, the smart lane is an emergency breakdown shoulder. When we launched the smart lane, it was to use an emergency breakdown shoulder as an additional lane of traffic when we needed it. So when traffic is going slow on 670 eastbound, then that's when we would, go with that smart lane being open. There are so many signs that tell you the smart lane is open, the smart lane is closed. So this morning there would have been red X's over that lane. We don't open the smart lane until it has been swept of debris and other vehicles. So we go through and check to make sure no one's broken down, no one's using it as the emergency shoulder before we open it. So those two vehicles you saw there were illegally driving in the closed smart lane. And then the other issue is the vehicle that was following the white pickup truck was tailgating. So what happened is the white pickup truck realized there's an obstruction in the lane ahead, but by the time they made their maneuver, the vehicle behind them was so close they had no reaction time, no space to react. So a lot of things went wrong, but the one thing that went right was the gentleman was able to jump out of the way. And, thankfully.
And you can see in the video, thankfully EMS was not far behind, so they had clearly already called or had been flagged. But this could have obviously ended a lot worse. Any advice for drivers when they break down in areas like this?
Well, normally we would tell you stay in your vehicle, stay buckled up in your vehicle. I mean, if there's no leak or fire or some other reason you would need to get out, because getting out of your vehicle makes you more vulnerable. I mean, had that person been hit, that would have been a much different scenario than even if they had been in their vehicle and gotten hit.
You must responded very quickly.
I think it was just dumb luck that they were there. I don't think that was something where they were called and responded that quickly. But I mean, certainly the person there very, very lucky.
So we definitely want to keep an eye out for those situations.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Pay attention, folks. There's signs, there's things to tell you what to do.
Yeah, slow down. The tailgating is the biggest thing, too, because if that car was just paying attention and slowed down a little bit, this wouldn't have happened.
Exactly.
I can't believe that person just jumped
out
and jumped out of the way.
Oh, gosh, I know. I don't know what I would have done in that situation. It's a split-second decision.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, the reason we actually had you on coming this morning, I mean, that just so happened to happen. And we were like, oh my gosh, we have to ask him about this. But also, that 7123 connector. We've been following these meetings, these developments throughout this project for more than a year at this point. And it's kind of coming to fruition at this point. Meetings are happening this week. So 3 public meetings. Tomorrow is the first one in Morrow County. It's at the Mount Gilead High School. And then Marion is on Wednesday at Cornerstone Alliance Church. Delaware is on Thursday at the Delaware County Fairgrounds Ag Building. So all meetings will happen from 12 to 2 and then 4 to 6 each day. So same times for each spot. And just to break down where we're at with this right now. So the new I-71 23 connector plan just released last week. The route would begin just south of State Route 521, take a winding path north, and then head west to the village of Ashley. And what this does is it connects 23 just north of Waldo, and it would basically create a road east to west that would connect 23 and 71. And there's obviously been many opinions on this. There are people who are opposed to it. There are people who are open to it. But walk us through, I guess, first, where ODOT stands in this project, because this is something that you guys obviously created the plans for, but you were asked to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to remember that the General Assembly in the last transportation budget asked us to, I guess more than asked, and it was put into codified law, that we had to come up with a report that would highlight the most feasible routes to connect US 23 and I-71. And they laid out 5 very specific locations we had to check. And then they also asked us to work with the Turnpike Infrastructure Commission to evaluate tolling a new road. I will point out there is nothing in that law that says no build is an option. So we have to put a line on a map and put that into a report and hand that to the General Assembly by October. So that's what we're doing.
Right. And so what other routes were explored?
So they wanted us to look at everything basically from 36, 37 up to 95. And very quickly they dismissed the northern routes because you would have to go a lot further out of your way, probably wouldn't have as much traffic, because people would tend to not do that. The southern route had a lot more of environmental impacts. And so you're trying to balance environmental and community impacts with what the legislature is asking us to do to find this most feasible route. There is no scenario, I want to be very clear, there's no scenario that has 0 impacts. It's just not possible to do what is being asked of us with no impacts to anybody. But what you're trying to do is find the fewest impacts. And so that, again, report will have to be turned over to the legislature by October 1st. So this latest round of information sharing with those who live in those 3 counties, it's very important. We want to get feedback from those folks on the plan. And then that'll all be part of the final report that gets handed over to the legislature.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, these 3 meetings that are happening this week, again, Morrow, Marion, and Delaware County, this is kind of one of the last opportunities that folks in those counties will get to, hey, I like this, I don't like this, here's what I'd like to see change. So if they have something to say, really this week is the time.
Please come and do it now. Yeah, I mean, the public comment period will technically end. We'll take comments through September 1st. But we have to obviously be able to compile all of those into this report. So that gives us a month to compile everything and get it into the final report that goes to the legislature. So yes, absolutely. Please come over, share your thoughts. We know there's a lot of opposition in Central Ohio to this study. We know there's a lot of support in Northwest Ohio to this study. So it's kind of, depending on where you live, kind of dictates how you feel about it. But I want to be very clear too, just to set expectations. At this point, this is a feasibility study. There is no plan right now to build a highway, and what happens with this once the plan is handed over to the General Assembly, who knows? I mean, that's for the future to decide. Then the next question will obviously be, do we build it or do we not? And that will be answered by a future General Assembly, future governor, future directors of ODOT will be involved in those decisions whenever they happen.
Mm-hmm. What has some of the opposition been that you've been hearing?
Well, I mean, a lot of it is obviously people who are concerned. I mean, they've moved to a rural area for a reason. They don't want to live near a highway. A lot of these people that, because I was at all of the meetings the last time back in March, a lot of these people are multi-generation farms. Where they've been, they're the 5th, 6th generation farming this land. They don't want a highway put through their property. But then you talk to people in Northwest Ohio, and then they're obviously concerned about economic opportunity that's happening in Central Ohio with things like Intel and Anduril. They want to make sure they can be a part of that. They just opened the Gordie Howe International Bridge up in Detroit, and there's a lot of traffic coming down I-75. How do we connect that into Central Ohio? So there are a lot of competing interests. Obviously, you have to weigh all of that into consideration, and I'm sure someone will in the future. But right now, this effort is focused solely on putting this line on a map for the General Assembly to say this is the most feasible route. If you make the decision to build this, this is where it would be the most feasible. And obviously, if this were to go into being a project, there would be a process at that point to do this as well.
More of a clear timeline.
Right. Yeah. So at all these meetings this week, do people have to sign up to speak, or is it what do those meetings kind of look like?
It's an open house style, and we wanted to do that to allow people to come and go as they have time. We realize people have busy lives. They don't have time to sit through maybe a 2-hour presentation, or you don't get there on time. Now you've missed out. We want people to be able to pop in, pop out. They can stay the entire time. They could stay for both meetings that day. They could come to all 6 meetings. However they want to do it, but it's a little more of a come and go as you please style when you do the open house. So there'll be a lot of folks there that they can ask questions to, a lot of exhibits. And we expect that we'll get a lot of questions, but we also want a lot of feedback as well.
Feedback is really the key. So again, we have those meetings happening tomorrow, Wednesday, and then Thursday. We have those listed under the 2371 connector story on our website if you are interested, because there is a lot to explore with this.
Yeah, there is. Definitely. And you can also submit your comments electronically. So if you go to the story and click to the website, you can do that through the web if you can't make it to one of the meetings. But we'd really like to hear from people in person.
Wonderful. All right. Well, Matt, thank you for coming on today. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back.
I'm Tracy Townsend, anchor at 10 TV News This Morning. My goal is simple: help you feel informed and connected. Because when news moves fast, you need a team that moves with you. Make the move to 10 TV News This Morning. Weekdays from 5 to 9, anywhere you watch.
Right now we want to bring in Janelle Jones. She is a senior fellow at Groundwork Collaborative and the Century Foundation. Janelle, thanks so much for joining us. When it comes to these numbers of price increases, what are some of the biggest price increases that families are seeing this summer?
They're really seeing it all across the board in terms of housing, healthcare, childcare, and of course, gas prices. Families are really facing a crunch across all the sectors of the economy.
And the report that you put out found that inflation since the war with Iran began, it's added roughly $477 per household in extra costs nationwide. When it comes to, let's focus here on Ohio, what does that number look like for the everyday Ohioan?
Yeah, in Ohio, the average gas price is not much different than it is across the country. The average right now is above $4 a gallon. In Ohio, even Columbus, it's about $3.90. That's $1 more than it was last summer. I'm an Ohioan, so I know exactly how much time Buckeyes spend in the car. This is hundreds of dollars. Recent research shows that Americans have already spent about $71 billion extra in gas because of this war.
And, when it comes to the budget and how people are trying to stretch a dollar, have there been any indications of how people are trying to cut back in certain places in order to make up for these increases?
Yeah, I mean, they're really facing a crunch, but they're trying. Some recent research from my Century Foundation colleagues has shown that 1 in 4 Americans are skipping meals to be able to make ends meet. About 40% of people are actually cutting medical care because they don't have enough money to seek that care. And 7 in 10 Americans say that they would not be able to handle an extra $500 expense. And so, as much as they're trying, when the prices of everything is increasing and you can't stretch your paycheck as much as you used to, there's really not much you can do. And it's no one's fault. Well, it's someone's fault. It's not workers' fault. These choices, the increase that we're seeing in prices is really the result of this administration's policies and practices to make everything more expensive for working people.
And how much longer do you expect these inflated numbers to stick around?
Good question. A really good question. One thing that we know is that when we did see a pause in fighting about a month ago, gas prices did start to come down. So we know that they are responsive to what we're seeing in the Middle East. But we also know, and we have this experience from the COVID recession, that once prices are elevated, it can take a long time for those prices to come down. once businesses inflate prices, it really is not, it's not been the practice to bring them down as fast as they've gone up. So even if we were able to end the war today, it would take months for us to get back to pre-war gas prices. And so, yeah, I think we're looking at, at least several more months of really high prices for working people.
And if Ohioans want change, what should they do? Can they call a representative? What do you recommend?
Yeah, they definitely should call a representative. I think, as much as people think that they can skip a fancy coffee or even try to skip a vacation, when the prices are this high everywhere, there's not much people can do when they're already stretching paychecks. And so they really have to make their voices heard and make those in power who are responsible for this policy and the policy choices know how they feel. And they've been doing that. Survey across survey is showing people are upset, they're angry, they know who to blame, and they just have to keep making their voices heard.
Okay, and that was obviously a pre-recorded interview we did on Friday when Colin was here. But let's take a look at the gas prices currently for the state of Ohio. So this is on AAA's website. We can see that the national average for a gallon of gas is sitting at $4.09 a gallon. And then for the whole state of Ohio, we're just 1 cent below that at $4.08. Now, as we get to the Franklin County and the surrounding counties like Franklin, Delaware, Licking, Perry, Fairfield, that number does go up. So Franklin County right now, I mean, we're seeing $4.22 a gallon, which is pricey.
It is.
What do you think?
I mean, I think the prices, every time I go to the gas station,
Yeah.
I feel bad, but I don't know what to expect.
I know.
It's like every time it could be 20 cents more than yesterday or 20 cents less.
I know.
It's just, so we did get a couple prices that I want to flag for you
Yes,
guys
yes.
That are under $4. So we love to see that here locally. So first on the west side, the Get-Go off of West Broad Street, you can get that for $3.74, which is pretty good.
A bargain.
Not quite as good, but still under $4. $3.96 at the Murphy USA off of East Main. So East Side drivers want to give you an option. And then $3.99 for our friends near Hilliard off of Scioto Darby Creek Road off of at that Sunoco. So 3 options for you under $4. We like to try and save where we can, but obviously things are not in the best spot right now.
And Gas Buddy just put out a report today, and it said gas prices could hit a calendar record this week, even with oil pulling back.
Okay, so you want to note those prices again.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. So it says, the gasoline, the average price has fallen 8 cents over the last week, but it's still up, like we just showed.
Exactly. Still over $4.
Still over $4.
I think I paid $4.19 when I was traveling back from Cleveland yesterday.
Yeah, did you have to get a lot of gas?
I did have to fill up just to do the trip, but when you're on 71, you just kind of got to go where you got to go.
Exactly. Okay. All right, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
I'm Bryn Albizu, traffic anchor for 10 TV News this morning. My mission is simple, to help you get to where you're going quickly and safely. Because when your morning's on the move, so are we. Make the move to 10 TV News this morning, anywhere you watch.
Welcome back to The Big Picture. I'm Bryn Caswell.
I'm Amy Steigerwald.
Okay, we are talking about a new study surrounding toddler food, and I thought this was so interesting when I was going through it. So it found that more than 80% of toddler foods are ultra-processed, and researchers at UT Austin found 81% of packaged foods marketed to children ages 6 to 36 months were classified as ultra-processed, and nearly half failed basic nutrition standards. Yeah.
Definitely alarming for parents as I'm, in those young years.
Yeah.
They're really concerned about
I know, you want them to be
best-
healthy and
the best items.
Right.
And, their taste buds are still developing.
Yeah. So joining us right now, we have the lead researcher on this, Erin Hudson. She's with UT Austin. Erin, thank you so much for coming on today. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you great. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking about this because I found the study just absolutely fascinating. What were your biggest takeaways about these statistics, especially for parents?
Yeah, the reason we wanted to do the study is we wanted to specifically know what parents were seeing when they go down the baby food aisle. And I think a lot of parents think when they're in that aisle, those foods are specifically designed to be healthy for their children, for their toddlers, and it's just not the case. I was surprised that it was 80% were ultra processed. That seemed like a really high number, but it's consistent with other research on toddler food and generally food for young children in the United States. So that seemed pretty high, but it is what it is, unfortunately. And almost half of those didn't meet. They were either too high in sugar or sodium or fat, or more than one of those things. A lot of them were higher in sugar and sodium. So it's hard for parents trying to do the right thing when there's so many products that are not good for their kids.
Right. Your study found 17% exceeded recommended sugar levels and 25% exceeded sodium recommendations. So when toddlers have too much of that, what can happen?
It's a combination of things. So there's in the short term, we've all had a child in our life get a little too much sugar. We know what that does. And so there's the short term effects of too much sugar. Just in the moment, but also like there's short-term effects of what is that doing to their tiny bodies, and their metabolism. That much sugar is not healthy. But long-term, once kids are developing their taste preferences during this time, like in 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-olds, they're learning what foods they like, what foods they're willing to try. And if what they're getting is really high in sugar and really high in sodium, those are the foods they're going to continue to want to eat, which means they're not going to be wanting as many, fruits and vegetables in a more whole form. And that continues throughout life, that those preferences are set at a young age.
And you said in a whole form, because we have some of the biggest offenders that you've got flagged: fruit pouches with high sugar, oat bars, mac and cheese, turkey sticks. I mean, the list kind of goes on. You talk about also, that their taste buds are still developing. I know my goddaughter likes broccoli, and it's because she was given it so early. But had she been given something else first, I'm sure that would be different. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that's absolutely fair to say. There's a lab at University of Texas that's actually going to be doing research kind of to understand more of exactly what you're saying. These kids who are given fruit and vegetables in these pouches, it's not exactly the same as getting broccoli. And are they actually developing a taste for broccoli whenever they're getting it, mashed up with, sugar and other sweeteners? They may not actually be developing that taste for broccoli that a whole piece of broccoli would. So yeah, there's definitely research in that area, and it seems like that's the case whenever you're getting it out of a pouch. Now, I want to say it's hard for parents, right? You're looking for convenient options. You're looking to do the best thing for your kid. So I don't want to demonize giving your kid a pouch. Sometimes that's what you have. That's what you need to do. But making sure that you are introducing the broccoli as well, so that you're developing those taste preferences.
And you're talking about shaping their habits, introducing both.
Right. I always see little kids holding those like fruit pouches.
Yeah.
Parents love giving them to their kids. But what should parents do when they're walking down the aisle? I mean, the baby food aisle can be overwhelming.
Once your child starts eating, you don't need to be on the aisle at all. If you're looking for a convenient option, okay, you can go down that aisle. But looking at the front of the package isn't really going to tell you anything. You really have to turn it over, see if there's added sugar, look at the ingredient list. Are there fruit juice concentrates, which are a way to add sugar to a product without actually having to disclose that you've added sugar to the product? So looking at the back of the label, how much sugar in it, how much added sugar, is there fruit juice concentrate? Looking for those things is a good way to flag what's going to have too much sugar in it. But once kids start being able to chew whatever healthy food a parent is eating, or caregiver, you can just cut that up, mash it up, and give it to that child. So they're getting a variety of foods, and they don't actually need anything specifically designed as toddler food.
To this day, my mom used to make me, when I was little, she told me homemade applesauce, but she would put strawberries in it. So it's kind of like mashed up strawberries and apples. And to this day, I like it better than like the Mott's, packaged things from the grocery store. So it really can carry with you through your adult life.
Right. And it gets into introducing foods. It's important to do it at the right age, especially when you talk about certain allergies and stuff for kids. So the FDA is considering updating the front of labels because the U.S. does not require the front of packaging warning labels with the high sugar, the sodium, and all the calories. Why do you really want to see that change?
I would love to see that change. I think, what we've seen in countries that have implemented these warning labels, Chile is an excellent example. They've got these big black octagons that say high in sugar, high in sodium, calorie dense. And it's been really effective in not just informing the public, but also forcing food companies to reformulate to avoid getting those labels on the food. So it's been a real success story. I'm concerned about what the FDA is considering right now, because as it's written, the front of package label would not apply to toddler foods. And so toddler foods would still not have that warning. But I think it would be really valuable for parents to have information on the front of the package so that they're not at a loss when they're walking down the aisle.
Right. And when people, you can go.
No, I'm just wondering why they wouldn't do it on the toddlers as well.
I know. Big question mark there.
But there's a, they have their explanation, but it is concerning.
Okay.
Yeah. So when some parents might say, going down the aisle and just getting jars of toddler food is more convenient and easier for them. What advice do you have for parents maybe that are considering kind of transitioning into making their own toddler food? Can it be simple and easy?
It can. Time is always a constraint. It's a real constraint that we all have. And some people are, more time constrained than others. And so, it's something to keep in mind. But whatever healthy food a parent is already making for themselves, eating for themselves, they can give that to their child as well. So like you're mentioning the homemade applesauce, and I don't know about you, but I had to boil some berries the other day because I realized I got some berries and I wasn't going to take that risk. And so, I basically boiled them down and basically made a compote out of those, of just boiling those. And that would be a really good toddler food once it cools down, obviously. So, I don't know that you have to be in the kitchen making those foods as much as just thinking about what it is you're already eating. Are you already eating a banana? Are you already, whatever you're cooking for dinner, can you cut up that chicken into little bites, and can you maybe overcook the zucchini so it's nice and mashed up, and just thinking through what am I already putting in my mouth that I could make small and digestible for my child.
All right, Erin, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All righty. Okay, that was very, very interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't have kids yet, but it's interesting to take the perspective of, just whatever you're eating, you can give your kids.
Yeah, you can just mash
it up.
It's that
simple. It's that simple.
It's the same thing.
All right, well, we'll be back in a couple minutes to wrap up the big picture today.
The 10 TV Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news, live from the scene. All the news you need. 10 TV Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Alrighty, welcome back. It's 9:52. Amy, I went to the fair on Sunday.
Yes, I saw.
It was fun. I had a corn dog. I had a funnel
part.
cake. I had a lemon shake up. And I also saw some precious little goats.
Those goats
They were
there
so
last week.
cute.
They're so cute. And then in the morning,
And
if you go in the
sheep?
early morning, they wear their coats.
Oh my gosh. They were like so sweet and so friendly.
Very friendly.
I did, what's it called? The sky
ride thing.
The sky
where you
glider.
go.
And then this is Smokey. This was on the new carousel. Do you know about Smokey's story?
I don't know about Smokey's story, but I did see the new carousel. It's gorgeous.
It is stunning.
It is so cool to see.
They did such an amazing job, like snaps on that. But it was a lot of fun. But the one place I didn't go was the showcase building, which I'm a little upset about.
Yeah.
I ran out of time though. It was yesterday. It was like really not busy, and then it got really busy, and then I was like, I gotta get out of here. It's, you know what I mean?
It's
I have to go
a
to bed.
weekend. It does get. It still has a fair.
Yeah, I mean, it gets busy. But Angela Ann, she takes us inside and shows us this new exhibit.
All right, Alicia, I feel like I'm in the middle of an IMAX movie theater. What is happening around me?
This is our beautiful new 360-degree theater that tells the story of Ohio. So, only takes about 10, 12 minutes, but you can come in here and learn all about the history of Ohio's past, present, and future.
Why was this important to have inside the Ohio Showcase building?
Well, you know, we're really fortunate to be right across the street from the Ohio History Center, but there's not really any exhibits here on the property of the Ohio State Fair that tell the story of Ohio. And so being able to make this an amenity, not just for the Ohio State Fair, but something that can open for non-fair events here at the facility to teach our visitors, whether they're Ohioans or from across the country, about our great state.
So make it a permanent exhibit, because this is, of course, our history that we want to showcase to the world.
Exactly, exactly. And it's amazing. We've got all of these screens, including on the ceiling, where you can sit in any angle and see the story of Ohio around us.
Wow, you're going to have kids laying on the floor with their pillows, I think, looking up.
Bring your
beautiful.
own blanket.
Truly amazing. Let's talk about the food hall.
Yes.
Tell me about the food hall.
So we're thrilled to have the brand new Ohio Food Hall, where we have 6 different Ohio restaurants that will have spaces there. So we have Schmidt's, Sweet Carrot, Daisy's Fish Shack, Marlowe's Cheesesteaks, the Cheesecake Girl, and Glass City Pizzeria.
Oh, the whole gamut of breakfast, lunch, and dinner all combined, and dessert.
Exactly, exactly. And what was really important to us is that we highlighted Ohio. We weren't just necessarily picking any restaurant or any standard food that you could buy anywhere else at the Ohio State Fair. We've got Ohio restaurants and incubator kitchens that have locations elsewhere that are now opening for the first time ever in a brand new space here at the Ohio State Fair.
So it's a nice little food hall for people to kind of take a break. Again, it's air conditioned.
That's right.
So that's nice as well.
Exactly. You can come in, take a break, and learn more too. You know, if, for example, you might have never tried Schmidt's or Sweet Carrot, you can learn more about them and their story and where you can find them elsewhere.
And Schmidt's, of course, is one of the longest, if not the longest,
the longest running food vendor here at the Ohio State Fair. Over a century, Schmidt's has been here.
Absolutely love it. That's Boomtown for you right there. Staying power in Boomtown.
Exactly.
So cool. That's awesome.
Well, and speaking of, she said it looks like an IMAX theater in there.
Let's get a look at your Hollywood Minute.
So...
Hey, can we do this one at a time, please? 2 at a time seems to suit Tom Holland and Zendaya. Their new film, Spider-Man Brand New Day, opened with a massive $355 million, while The Odyssey, also featuring Holland and Zendaya, now in its 3rd weekend, racked up $51 million. Throw in the smash hit Toy Story 5 and the other films now in theaters, and overall, domestic moviegoers spent some $430 million. By far the biggest collective weekend in box office history.
The bake part is what I have most confidence in. Paul's right behind me. Is it? Okay, thank God, thank God. I didn't want him to hear me talking confidently.
Taran Killam, Michelle Buteau, Jay Farrow, and Natasha Rothwell do their best to impress Paul Hollywood and Prue Leaf in the Great American Baking Show, Celebrity Summer. Will this latest class of wannabe bakers rise like a perfect loaf or fall like a failed souffle?
Okay, and there's a look at your Hollywood Minute. So, Amy, you went and saw Spider-Man.
I did. I saw it
How
yesterday.
was it?
It was good.
Yeah?
I do like the I'm not a huge Avengers person, but I do love the Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland and Zendaya.
Yes.
It was awesome.
I didn't know that there was a new... Do you watch Great British Baking Show at all?
I don't.
Oh my gosh.
But I love Andrew Reynolds.
I love the Great British Baking Show, and I had no idea there was a celebrity version for this summer.
Home and watch.
So Zenobia, our producer, said you have a funny story about The Odyssey.
So my boyfriend loves The Odyssey, wanted to go see it, obviously.
Why did Zenobia think this was so funny?
I don't know. I had no desire to see it, you guys. So this was last week when The Devil Wears Prada 2 still had one theater showing left. And I was like, can we go at 1:45 in Easton? Because that is when The Devil Wears Prada 2 is playing.
Yeah.
So I went to The Devil Wears Prada 2. He went to The Odyssey. And
that was that.
Everyone was happy.
Yes, that was it.
I've heard great things about The Odyssey. Everyone loves it. I just don't think I would have enjoyed it. It's a long movie.
Amy, it's long.
It's a long
movie.
movie.
It was like 3 hours.
I know.
It was
I
a whole
have so
commitment.
many people that I like in it. Anne Hathaway was in both of our movies.
Right?
Which
she
is
was.
crazy.
Yes, she's booked and busy.
Yeah, she is.
Zendaya too. Well, Spider-Man and Odyssey.
Spider-Man and Odyssey, yes.
I still haven't seen The Devil Wears Prada 2.
Well,
it good?
It's on streaming now, so you can watch it there.
There we go. Okay. Well, cool. Well, that's basically it for us today.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a random Monday, but all good topics.
Yeah, good topics, and we'll be back tomorrow at 9. Well, here's another look at your 7-day forecast.